Well, hello, boys and girls. I'm gonna go ahead, since you're far away, and take the mask off. You guys leave it on, okay? Thank you. So today I want to teach you, or maybe review, because maybe you've already done it, the process of photosynthesis. So our learning target today, is I can explain the process of photosynthesis. So before I ask you to do anything else, I want you to look at this word, photosynthesis. Okay, we're going to divide it right here. So photo, you've heard the word photo. We take photos. But this word means light. And synthesis is basically the process of putting things together, okay? So putting things together. To come up with something at the end. Putting things together. So today, we will be learning the process of photosynthesis, this word, and we will talk a little bit more about that. But before we start, I want you to think of chocolate chip cookies. How many of you like chocolate chip cookies? I love them. You do too, you do, I'm sure. And if you don't like chocolate chip cookies, maybe you like sugar cookies, maybe you like oatmeal cookies, some sort of cookies. Or maybe you don't like cookies, but you like cake, okay? But for all of those things, we follow a recipe, okay? This is a recipe for, a very simple recipe for chocolate chip cookies. We have a list of ingredients. In this case, look at that. You can read 1 cup of sugar, 1.5 cups of butter, 3 eggs, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 3 cups of chocolate chips. And then, normally, this would have some directions. Well, we put all of these together, and we end up with a delicious batch of chocolate chip cookies. And I cannot eat this one, but if we had taken the time to make the cookies, we would have chocolate chip cookies. Delicious. For photosynthesis, we have basically the same process. We have a recipe, okay? There are ingredients that are required for this process. And the final product is going to be some sort of food, sugar, glucose, and plants make their food. So, let me ask you something. What is a living organism? And for this, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to think about it. What is a living organism? Think of that question. Okay, what do you think? A desk is a living organism? Desk, what do you think? A rock? Maybe this marker? Is that a living organism? No. And it's not because they don't breathe, it's because they don't grow. A living organism requires a bunch of cells, and they grow. Okay, that's a living organism. So, what are living organisms? Exactly. Animals and plants. Yes, they don't walk around, but they are living organisms. So, today we are going to specifically concentrate on plants. Plants are living organisms, and they use this process of photosynthesis to make their own. I was getting a phone call there, so excuse me. We're going to, I just hung up on them, whoever they were, and we're going to continue with the lesson. So, photosynthesis is the process that plant make food. We sometimes call that food sugar or glucose. Now, I am going to leave the camera for just a moment, and I want to tell you that when we talk about sugar, we are not talking about this, okay? We are not talking about just a bag of sugar, not what we buy in the store, okay? So don't think that we're talking about this. It's kind of related to this, but not this, okay? So when we say sugar or glucose, we're talking about plant food, okay? Now, I've given you at the beginning of class an article, okay? And I would like us to read part of the article now. I have it right here. And I want you to take the article out and follow as I read, okay? The title is "A Tree is Like a Hungry Kid" by Mickey S. Let's call her Mickey S, okay? First paragraph. What do you do when you are hungry? If you are like many people, you probably like something sweet for a snack. A tree is like a hungry kid because it needs food to grow, and it prefers sugar. Well, not exactly the same sugar we find in candy and cookies, but it is a special kind called glucose, which is the word that we have here. Oh, I said glycose? No, it's glucose. Sorry, it's glucose. Notice I raised that Y for you, glucose. Special kind called glucose that makes trees grow. You might be thinking, how does a tree eat the food? Sugar? Well, it doesn't even have a mouth. True, trees don't have mouths. They do have roots to take in water and minerals, but they don't really get food through the roots either. Trees make their sugars in their leaves. They make the sugars in their leaves. That's where they make that food and that glucose with an U. I'm surprised that no one corrected me. Well, I'm sure you did. They do have roots. Trees make their sugar in their leaves. The sugar is sent from the leaves into the branches, trunk, and even the roots. When a tree eats, it is moving sugar from the leaves to all the other parts. Okay? Now remember, we're trying to figure out the process of how the plants or the trees make the food. That is called photosynthesis. So let's see paragraph number 3. When your mom or your dad makes cookies, or your sister or your brother or your grandfather makes cookies, he or she uses a recipe with certain ingredients. Like the recipe that I showed you at the beginning, remember about chocolate chip cookies? This recipe, it requires certain ingredients. So let's look at photosynthesis. This process also has certain ingredients to work. Do you know what a recipe for photosynthesis would look like? Okay, so now this is the work that you're going to do on you or on your own, okay? You're going to read paragraphs 4 and 5 on your own, okay? And I'm going to give you an index card. This is going to be your recipe card that is going to look like this, like the one that I showed you about cookies. But instead of saying cookies on top, what do you think it's going to say? Exactly. It's going to say photosynthesis. So you are going to have that card. You will put over here photosynthesis. Or no, you're not going to make photosynthesis. Erase. You're going to put over here plant food, and in parentheses you're going to put glucose. Okay? That's what we're making through the process of photosynthesis, the process of making those foods. And then you're going to put 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? And as you read the article, you are going to find the ingredients to make glucose, how plants make glucose, which is called photosynthesis. You're going to work on your own, because remember, you cannot get out from your desks. You cannot work in partners today. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. I can answer the questions. So remember, you're going to read paragraphs 4 and 5, and then you're going to create a recipe card for glucose, the process of photosynthesis. We're going to do that today. Tomorrow, we're going to do a follow-up lesson on this. When you finish with the cards, you can raise your hand. I'm going to walk around. If you need any help, I will give it to you. And at the end, today, we should be able to name the ingredients of how plants make their food, which is called the process of photosynthesis. Okay? So I will see you tomorrow.